Pop culture has handed us a very specific image of Cleopatra. We are told she was a devastatingly beautiful seductress who relied entirely on her physical appeal to manipulate the most powerful men in the world. But physical evidence from her own era tells a different story. Look closely at this ancient coin minted during her reign. You see a woman with a prominent, hooked nose and a sharp, protruding chin, which raises a rather glaring question. If she didn't use supernatural beauty to conquer her enemies, how did this woman bring two of the greatest military warlords in history to their knees? To understand her strategy, we have to look at the board she was playing on. By the 1st century BC, the Empire of Rome was a rapidly expanding military machine, methodically swallowing up surrounding territories. Egypt, meanwhile, was rotting from the inside. The Ptolemaic dynasty was fighting itself for control, and the government had taken on massive debt from Roman elites just to stay afloat. Egypt was essentially a Roman vassal state waiting to be officially annexed. This is the exact moment an 18-year-old Cleopatra inherits the throne. Her brother immediately orchestrates a coup and exiles her to the desert. She has no army, she has no money. Fighting a Roman-backed faction militarily meant instant death. Her only viable path to saving her nation was to engage in high-stakes political warfare and outsmart Rome from the inside. When Julius Caesar arrives in Alexandria, hunting his own political enemies, Cleopatra knows she has a narrow window. Her brother controls the palace. If he gets to Caesar first and secures an alliance, she is entirely out of options. So she organizes a stealth entry through enemy lines. She has her servants wrap her inside a heavy carpet and smuggle her past her brother's armed guards directly into the palace. Emerging from the carpet, Cleopatra engaged Caesar in his own language, debating complex philosophy and offering a calculated economic alliance. The strategy worked perfectly. Caesar fought a civil war in Alexandria on her behalf, restoring her to the throne. She then gave birth to his son, Caesarion, permanently linking the Egyptian crown to Roman blood. She bypassed an entire army and secured her borders without commanding a single soldier. She negotiated as a political equal and turned Rome's greatest leader into her own personal shield. That shield shattered on the Ides of March. Caesar is assassinated, Rome fractures into civil war, and Cleopatra immediately flees back to Egypt to find a new protector. She turns her attention to Mark Antony, the general who took control of Rome's eastern territories. She profiled him carefully. He was a battle-hardened soldier who loved extreme luxury, but he desperately needed massive funds to pay his armies. Cleopatra summoned him to Tarsus on a riverboat covered in gold, equipped with silver oars and purple silk sails, a display designed to broadcast Egypt's vast liquid wealth to a general in need of a benefactor. This image shows the green spine of the Nile, the agricultural engine of the ancient world. By trading this massive agricultural leverage for Antony's protection, Cleopatra effectively bought herself a Roman army. The partnership stabilized Egypt, but then they pushed too far. During an event known as the Donations of Alexandria, Antony brazenly granted Roman territories to Cleopatra's children. By attempting to elevate Egypt from a protected state into a rival Eastern empire, she crossed a fatal line. She made herself an existential threat that Rome could no longer ignore. Back in Rome, Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, faced a severe dilemma. He held power through a piece of paper, but Caesarion was Caesar's actual biological son. As long as Cleopatra's child lived, Octavian's political legitimacy was entirely vulnerable. Octavian needed to eliminate the bloodline, but he couldn't afford the optics of starting yet another Roman civil war against Mark Antony. So he framed the conflict brilliantly. He officially declared war on the foreign queen, Cleopatra. The defining clash happened at the Battle of Actium. Seeing the tactical disadvantage, the Egyptian fleet was forced to break lines and flee. Antony followed, and his remaining forces were completely crushed by Octavian's navy. Octavian marched on Alexandria with a very specific goal. He intended to capture Cleopatra alive, bring her back to Rome, and parade her through the streets in chains as a humiliated trophy. Cleopatra recognized the trap. Rather than hand Octavian his PR victory, she chose to end her own life, reportedly by allowing a venomous snake to bite her. Even in total military defeat, she retained her agency. She executed a final maneuver to protect her dignity. dying as a queen on her own soil. The immediate aftermath was brutal. Octavian annexed Egypt, executed Caesarion, and rebranded himself as Augustus, Rome's first true emperor. But Augustus had a lingering public relations problem. He had to justify to the Roman public why it took 22 years, massive funding, and the entire Roman military apparatus to defeat a single, unsupported woman. His solution was a 2,000-year smear campaign. He systematically erased records of her political genius, her economic leverage, and the 9 languages she spoke. In their place, he inserted the myth of a wicked, seductive witch who clouded the minds of great men. Augustus secured his most enduring victory by rewriting the narrative, ensuring history remembered Cleopatra as a seductive witch, rather than the intellectual threat she actually was.